Good morning. Welcome back. And for those joining us for the first time today, I'm Thelma Barker, President of the Independent Telecommunications Pioneers Association, the National Capital Chapter. On behalf of ITPA, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a very happy New Year. Today, ITPA proudly presents the first of the 2021 installment of our monthly virtual event series in collaboration with the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Today's Humble Beginnings webinar is the first of a three-part series, part of ITPA's ongoing and popular series of information exchange sessions, from in-person lunches to now remote sessions as part of our monthly virtual series. A little bit about ITPA NCC. The Independent Telecommunications Pioneers Association is a nonprofit professional association created by and for the telecommunications industry. Dedicated to community service, ITPA has been serving the public on behalf of telecom companies since 1920. Our goal is to provide networking and learning opportunities across industry and government for our professionals. To expand our membership and grow our association, we've created a mentor-protege program of our very own. This program provides a unique pathway for young professionals within the first 10 years of their careers to join our organization, as well as network and serve their community. Having worked directly with them previously, members of our ITPA Executive Board nominated our inaugural cohort of ITPA proteges. The mentors and members of our board have been able to and will continue to instill their institutional knowledge and wisdom to help guide these proteges throughout their career. This new program will enable them to attend our events, learn about our industry, and lend new ideas and perspectives to our organization. If you'd like to nominate a potential protege for our local chapter, please reach out to us for more information. Now, a little bit about the local charities and causes that ITPA NCC supports. The Capital Area Food Bank helps provide food assistance to those in need, and our contributions to our local Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation chapter helps support research and treatment for type 1 diabetes. This year, our annual charity golf tournament had a team of veterans and service members from SMGA, which included those wounded or injured in post-9/11 military operations. The Salute Military Golf Association's mission is to provide rehabilitative golf programs, experiences, and family-inclusive golf opportunities for post-9/11 wounded war veterans in an effort to improve the quality of life for these American heroes. We are proud of our long-standing tradition of supporting the Salute Military Golf Association. During our November virtual event, we announced the kickoff of our Christmas charity drive for the USO's Project ELF. Project ELF helps to ensure that our local National Capital Chapter military families have a great holiday season. We were able to ignite and maintain an email and social media campaign throughout most of the giving season. By asking everyone to reach out to their colleagues, friends, and family, we were able to exceed our goal. We plan to match up to $3,000 in donations. I am proud to announce that we eclipsed our projections. This year, we were able to more than double our fundraising and our fundraising effort and goal. And with all of your support, we raised over $7,000 for Project ELF. A heartfelt thank you from all of us at ITPA, as your generosity was greatly appreciated during such a challenging holiday season for so many. The strength of our organization was on display as we were able to support our deserving military families. Speaking of our local chapter, ITPA is thrilled to recognize the contributions and support of our sponsors, our platinum sponsors, our Comcast Government Services, Granite Communications, Hughes, and Lumen. Our gold sponsors are Avaya, Converge One, Mettel, Sus Consulting, and Verizon. As well, our silver sponsors include BJJ and Associates, Collab 9, Corning, Equinix, GBI, GES, Turning Point, Sprint, T-Mobile, and Graybar. We are grateful for our ongoing sponsorship support and thrilled to have an array of new sponsors in this 2020-2021 season. Now, a few quick items before we get started. Our press policy. We welcome our friends and colleagues from the media. As a reminder, today's session is all on the record. For questions, thank you to those who submitted questions. Our moderator will try to get through as many as possible. If you're having any technical difficulties, use the chat box in the toolbar to chat with our webinar host. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing on our ITPA NCC YouTube channel post-event. If you would like a copy of our slide deck, please reach out to info@itpancc.org. We have a special treat for you today. By way of our season 2019-2020 ITPA NCC Government and Industry Partner of the Year Awards. These awards are usually given during our June annual dinner, which didn't happen as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic last year. Now, I would like to introduce Patrick Amos, Executive Director, Federal Government Program Management at Mettel, and ITPA NCC Vice President to present the awards. Pat?
Thank you, Thelma. First, I'd like to read a little bit about the ITPA NCC Government Partner Award. It's presented to an individual who has been extraordinarily impactful within the federal community, a strong collaborator with industry contributions in the spirit of the ITPA NCC mission, and promotes ideas that create effective, innovative, and responsive government. This award is given to qualified government candidates who have and continue to partner with the ITPA NCC. I'd also like to tell you a little bit about our awardee this morning, Ms. Soraya Correa. A 2018 Distinguished Presidential Rank Award winner, Soraya Correa was appointed as the Department of Homeland Security's Chief Procurement Officer in January 2015. In her capacity as the Senior Procurement Executive, Ms. Correa is responsible for the management, direction of the acquisition systems of DHS, including implementation of the unique acquisition policies, regulations, and standards of the agency. She oversees the work of 10 heads of contracting activity that provide operational procurement services to DHS components, directorates, and offices. She has initiated and led several key efforts designed to improve how the 1,400 member DHS procurement workforce focuses as a team on finding the right solutions to enable and support the DHS mission. These efforts include the Acquisition Innovations Motion Framework, including the Procurement Innovation Lab and the Education Development, Growth, and Excellence Mentoring Program, also known as EDGE. Additionally, Ms. Correa has continued to grow and enhance efforts, including the Homeland Security Acquisition Institute, the Acquisition Professional Career Program, the Strategic Sourcing Program Office, and Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Ms. Correa has been with DHS since its inception, serving in key leadership positions, including Head of Contracting Activity for Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Associate Director of the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services Enterprise Services Directorate. Ms. Correa has also held leadership positions at other federal agencies, including the Naval Sea Systems Command, General Services Administration, NASA, and Immigration and Naturalization Service. Her accomplishments as a leader are well recognized by the government and industry communities. She has received awards including the Secretary's Award for Excellence, Management Support Awards, Federal 100 recognition, Public Sector Partner of the Year, Top Woman in Tech, and several other accolades that reflect her commitment to the acquisition workforce and procurement innovation and promoting meaningful communications with the industry. I'd also like to say this morning that on behalf of the ITPA National Capital Chapter, I'm honored to present the Government Partner of the Year Award for the 2019-2020 fraternal year to Ms. Soraya Correa, adding to her long list of accomplishments and recognition for exemplary public service. It is no secret that Ms. Correa is a valued supporter of the ITPA NCC mission. She has twice accepted our organization's invitation to provide enthusiastic and invaluable insight as a keynote speaker. It is also no secret that each time that she has spoken, the House is usually filled with industry and government representatives eager to receive her timely and energetic message. It is without further delay that I humbly introduce the 2019-2020 ITPA NCC Government Partner of the Year recipient, Ms. Soraya Correa.
Thank you, Patrick. And I'm going to hold up this award so everybody can see it. It's a lovely award, and I am honored to receive this award. I also want to thank President Barker and members of the board for having me here today. I can't express my appreciation enough for being recognized as a Partner of the Year award. It, in my humble opinion, speaks loudly about what I do and why I do it. You are our partners. Industry is our partner. We cannot accomplish the missions that we serve without the partnership of the industry that supports us. So I'm truly grateful to have this honor, and I deeply appreciate being recognized for some of the innovations that we've had at the Department of Homeland Security, specifically our Procurement Innovation Lab that is focused on finding ways to improve the process for all of us, for industry and government together. So as I receive this award, I do have to say that this award really belongs to the men and women in the procurement community at the Department of Homeland Security. So I humbly accept this award on their behalf. I thank you on their behalf, and I look forward to continuing to work with all of you to make sure that we continue to improve the processes that we work on, the businesses that we serve, but more importantly, that we continue to execute on this vital mission that we perform every single day. Thank you all very, very much. Over to you, Patrick.
Thank you, Soraya. Next, I would like to introduce our next recipient. This individual is someone who is also a member of the ITPA NCC board. He is a dear friend and colleague, and his name is Brian Bonacci. Brian is receiving the inaugural Diana Gowan Industry Partner of the Year Award for the fraternal year 2019-2020. Let's talk a little bit about Brian. Brian has been an active leader in the federal government, IT, and telecom industry for over 25 years. He recently joined Equinix, where he is charged with building and leading partnerships and channels for Equinix government solutions. Mr. Bonacci has served key industry associations such as ACT-IACT as Executive Committee Vice Chair at Large, Networks and Telecom Shared Interest Group Chair and Vice Chair, Executive Leadership Conference Industry Vice Chair, and GSA NS 2020 Working Group Co-Chair. In addition to the Government Business Executive Forum, Brian currently serves on the board of ITPA National Capital Chapter as Treasurer and the ATARC Industry Advisory Board. Prior to joining Equinix, Brian served as Senior Director for Government Markets at Infinera and held key leadership positions for Level 3 government markets, such as Director of Business Development and Advocacy and Chief of Staff. Mr. Bonacci has also held other senior business development positions at Quest, now Lumen, Unisys, and SEIC, where he spent 8 years as Assistant Vice President. In addition to business development, he also held leadership roles in business operations and business and practice management, Ryan started his career with the U.S. General Accounting Office as computer scientist and later worked at the U.S. Internal Revenue Services System Integration Office, developing strategies and architectures for their tax systems modernization program. Brian holds a Master of Science degree in Business Information Technology Management from Johns Hopkins University and a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science from West Virginia University. Originally from New Jersey, Brian now calls Oakton, Virginia home, where he lives with his wife and 2 sons. The ITP NCC Diana Gowan Industry Partner Award is presented to an individual in recognition of their significant contributions in strengthening government and industry relations, exemplary leadership, and exceptional volunteer service. This award is presented to a qualified industry candidate who has been extraordinarily impactful and continues to contribute to the mission of ITPA NCC and the federal community. This award has special significance for me because it is named after my friend of nearly 20 years, mentor, and former boss, Ms. Diana Gowan. Diana served in many positions within the ITPA NCC. She loved this organization and was integral to bringing industry and government together through various collaborative efforts. When Diana's name was mentioned in any conversation, respect and credibility are immediately attached. So, in 2017, when Diana decided to no longer continue in her role as an ITPA NCC board member, she immediately encouraged me, in only the way that Diana could, to seek her vacated position for the 2018-2019 fraternal year. Once I was voted into the position by members of the esteemed chapter, she then challenged me to hit the ground running, inject my leadership traits and ideas into the organization. Fast forward to today, our 2020-2021 fraternal year, and I am humbly sitting before you as the Vice President of our Executive Board. It is with this great honor and responsibility that I carry on, as always keeping Diana's thoughtful leadership and spirit to serve in mind. Now, again, without further delay, it is with great honor that I introduce the inaugural ITPA NCC Diana Gowan Industry Partner of the Year Award to my dear friend, colleague, and fellow ITPA NCC Executive Board member, Mr. Brian Bonacci.
Thank you, Pat. Yeah, it truly is an honor, and first of all, to receive it from you. You know, Pat's one of the great people I know in this industry, and we've been working together since the days of Level 3, and so it's just having you hear those kind words and presenting this to me is really an honor. So I'd be remiss, obviously, if I didn't recognize Sarai and everything that you've done, and congratulate you on your award as well. I think we first met back when I was on the ACT-IAC board and you were just getting into your role. And one thing I noticed immediately was your refreshing approach on taking on a government procurement executive role and your engagement with industry immediately. And you set the tone, I think, for a lot of your peers and colleagues in government on how they are now working with industry and taking their procurement strategy forward inside of government. And so you've been a pioneer in so many ways across our government procurement industry. And so thank you for all that you've done, and also, of course, for all your support of ITPA, NCC in recent years. To get this award that has Diana Gowan's name next to it, and seeing Sean here today, Diana, when I first was in government, obviously early on with our GAO and IRS, I spent many years in the area and then left town, and I was in Texas and in Atlanta with SAIC. When I first came back to work for Quest, Diana was leading the Quest government team there, and I'll never forget, just a quick story. I never thought it would get any tougher in an account review than sitting in front of Ray Guy during my Verizon days. And then I sat in my first account review with Diana, and I realized the game had changed. And if I was really going to survive and really thrive inside this industry now that I was back in town, I needed to up my game. And it wasn't just because the game had changed, but because Diana Gowan was leading that game. And she just really set the tone for me, just not only by setting the bar high on what you brought to the table, but by just her loyalty to her team, to serving government, and everything she did in her day-to-day life was all about serving others and having that friendship and loyalty around her. And I'm forever in debt to her in my career, in my life, and what she's done. And I know so many of us are. And so to have her name on that award and being this recipient, it just means the world to me. Just real quickly, and I know you guys want to hear a lot of other stuff other than me chat today, so I'll try to get through this quickly. Really want to thank the board, and especially Thelma Barker. Thelma, you've done so much in moving and transforming ITPA and NCC in the time you've been in the role of president, and going forward, what you've got envisioned for us. I think forever, for a long time, ITPA and NCC is going to be forever in your debt for, I think, where you're taking this organization. Built up, obviously, from years of great work from all the volunteers and participants, and just seeing what you're going to do in evolving us is just, and being a part of that is really tremendous. Also want to thank Mary Beth Jones, who's Deputy Treasurer, and all the work she's doing in helping us set ourselves up for the future on the financial side and getting us set up as an organization. Really just in debt to her for all the work she's doing. And Nithya Lakshminarayan, she's amazing. Thank you, Warren, for hiring her. If you ever let her leave, we're gonna have a chat. If she does, she's gonna come work with me, by the way, probably. But Nithya, really just don't know what we'd do without you. And Warren, thank you. I'm so great to see you on here today. None of this would be here without Warren Suss. Warren's got this whole thing started for us at ITPA and NCC, and your constant contribution and support with you and Suss Consulting on this organization, I can't thank you enough, and I don't think you get anywhere near the recognition you deserve, because you're such a humble guy, and you just do so without expecting it, and thank you so much for all that you do. And then lastly, the reason we do this is, and we're all volunteers here, right? The reason we do this is to me, two main reasons. One is serving government, and I never lose sight of that in this role, in what I try to do with ITPA and NCC. It is the reason it's one of the few organizations I still get actively involved with. It's because I get to serve government and do directly and interactively in supporting our telecommunications providers and organizations in government that deliver that to our government employees. And then secondly, is the charities. I mean, we get to help so many people day in, day out, whether JDRF and the USO Metro DC Baltimore chapter and Capital Area Food Bank and the Salute Military Golf Association. To be a part of an organization that helps these great charities is one of the proudest parts of what I get to do in all of my job, and it's why I love this organization. One of the main reasons I love this organization so much. So thank you. I'll do the same thing. Sorry, I did it. It's proudly sitting behind me. Thank you so much, and look forward to many, many more years working with this great organization. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Sean Gowan, son of, I apologize, past board member, my apologies. Past board member, Mike Brennan. I just want to send a heartfelt thank you. You are transitioning off of the ITPA board after serving the ITPA NCC in various roles, after serving on many committees and subcommittees in support of the ideals and the mission of the ITPA NCC. We just want to thank you for your service to our organization and wish you continued success. We also hope that you will continue to participate in whatever capacity that you deem agreeable with your schedule and your lifestyle. Job well done, sir, and thank you.
Pat, thanks so much. Apologize for my freezing video, but in these times, I guess technology doesn't keep up with what we need. But I wanted to just express my appreciation for being allowed to participate in ITPA over the years, having it move from that old Pier 7 location down on the wharf to the Keybridge Marriott, now to the Westwood location. It's been a lot of fun and impactful, just from the fact of networking with government and industry here and all the great speakers that we've supported through this organization through the years. It's really just been a pleasure and an honor to be participative, in a volunteer status on that. And it's just been a nice organization. I look forward to continuing to support however I can. And thanks again, Pat, Thelma, and everybody else.
Thank you, Mike. And now, I would like to introduce Mr. Sean Gowan, the son of, good grief, it's Warren. I keep screwing this up. I'm sorry, everyone. Again, I'd like to thank Mr. Warren Suss. Brian, you have said more than I could ever articulate about the contribution and the service that Mr. Warren Suss has provided to the ITPA NCC. Thank you again, Warren, for your continued support, your continued effort. And we just want to thank you for, again, being such an active participant and really spearheading the ability for us to serve the mission of the community in which we serve, and also the mission of our federal government.
Pat, thank you so much. So now we'd like to, just before we move on to our keynote and the introduction of our keynote, I'd like to roll it back just a quick moment and introduce Mr. Sean Gowan. Don't worry, there's not a slide for Sean. So we can just leave it there where Warren is. But we'd like to bring on Mr. Gowan to have a few words in regards to Diana and the industry award the industry partner award being conferred in Diana's name. So Sean.
Good morning, and let me just say I'm both humbled and honored to be here on behalf of my mother, Diana Gowan. When I was approached to say a few words, I was, had a whole lot of different thoughts flying through my head, and then things crystallized when recently someone introduced me to the book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albern. For those of you who've never heard the story or read the book, it's a story about a guy, 83-year-old man, he dies, goes to heaven, and he meets 5 people whose lives either he impacted or impacted his life. And the book explores what the impacts were for him. But the central point of the book is that good or bad, consciously or unconsciously, every life touches another one. Every life leaves an impression, and everything we do is connected. So it got me thinking about, who would my mom be meeting in heaven when she got there? And the truth is, I have no clue. But then I thought about, what if I flipped the question? Who would she be greeting when they arrive in heaven? And when I framed it that way, suddenly I was overwhelmed with possibilities and choices. And I think that if, we talk about, people always talk about, well, what kind of legacy are you going to leave behind? And just some background to frame this next comment is that about 4 years ago, I abandoned an IT career to become a high school teacher. And this year I had a student approach me for a letter of recommendation for a scholarship she's applying for through the Center for Women in Technology at UMBC. And when I closed out her letter, I said this, that I grew up with a mother that was a trailblazer in the telecommunications industry. She broke glass ceilings as one of the first female executives in her field. She was known for nurturing talent, especially in women, when she found it. This student is the kind of person my mother would have taken under her wing to ensure she had opportunities to fully develop her talents. And I think that's one of the lasting legacies that my mother leaves behind, is the way that she nurtured the talent around her. It took me a while to understand that that's what she was doing. As you know, coming out of college, I'd call my mom for one reason or another while she was at work, and usually I would get her administrative assistant. And, we'd have conversations, get to know each other a little bit. I'd get to the point where I finally recognized the person's voice, knew their name, and then somebody else would pick up the phone. And I would ask my mom, well, why, what happened here? Where, this was a good assistant you had. She's like, yeah, she was a very good, or he was a very good assistant, but it was time for me to help them find a better job. And by the third time this happened, I recognized the pattern. And she did the same thing for her families, in the hobbies she pursued. If she found someone who she thought had talent or had ability or whatever it was, then she was going to push you to fulfill that talent and to become as much of a person as you could be in whatever that field was. Now, I make this sound very idyllic, but for those of you that worked with her, like I know, and like her grandkids know, that the encouragement she gave sometimes was less than gentle. But I think that's because she really, really wanted you to fulfill your potential. Pat mentioned her pushing him in her own unique way, and I think that sort of echoes what I'm trying to say here. I think she was sort of like, the mother bird that pushes the hatchling out of the nest, even if the hatchling feels like it's unprepared. But I think she always knew that people were ready to spread their wings and fly on their own. One of the other legacies, I think, from her was brought to mind for me by one of her top 10 Gowanisms. If anybody worked with her at CenturyLink, when she retired from there, they gave her this list of top 10 Gowanisms, a list of her most common sayings. One of them on there was just, "It takes a village." And I think that the villages she built is part of what she leaves behind, and helping people understand the importance of building community. Because wherever she went, she built community. And if anyone has ever been to one of her annual Christmas parties, that was a showcase for these communities. Her house would be filled with friends, family, current and former coworkers. And all over the house, you would see mini reunions. You'd see it around the famous crab dip station or the cookie table with some 20 odd types of cookies that I and some other people had been enlisted to bake as part of our annual Saturday cookie marathon. But what I was oblivious to, because, Diana Gowan was mom. But what I was oblivious to is that these mini reunions featured like all sorts of high level executives from government, from telecom, from the IT world. But to me, they were just, Pat, or they were Jerry or Rick or Joan. And the thing that I could tell, though, was that she was admired and trusted, and that she was really liked. And that was despite the fact that she was a tough taskmaster. Or the previous speaker Brian mentioned, how he forced her or how she forced him to step up his game. But I think she did that, again, like I said before, because she wanted to push all of us to be the best person we could be. So the last thing I want to mention about her is that she was really big about philanthropic efforts. As part of her passing, I've had the dubious task of going through her mail for the last few months. And I could fill a big 3-ring binder with all of the thank you letters from all the organizations that have sent her, Thank you for donating. Thank you for giving your time, your money, whatever it is. And she really believed strongly in advocating and giving to those less fortunate than her. But I think her biggest philanthropic effort was always reserved for the National MS Society. Some of you here may have been the recipient of fundraising letters for her for the Challenge Walk MS. This was a cause that was near and dear to her heart because her brother had an unsuccessful battle with the disease. Together with her sisters, Linda and Paula, they formed a team called Sister Act. And then after they started doing this event for a number of years, they called it Sister Act Repeat. And for over 15 years, they would get together once a year and they would walk 50 miles in 3 days to raise money for MS. And I know a number of, possibly a number of you have donated to that cause over the years. Eventually, they even dragged me into it. And I have to say that I loved every minute of it. I think that all of us want to know that our lives mattered, that we've made some sort of impact, that we left a mark on the world. While I have no clue who my mom would be meeting in heaven, I do know that for many of us, she will be one of the 5 people that we meet when we go to heaven. And if many, many, many years from now, when I finally shake off this mortal coil, if I've impacted half as many lives as my mother has, I'll consider that a life well lived. And I think that based on the acknowledgements and the expressions of respect and love that I've heard from so many of the people that worked with her, that a lot of you feel the same way. I miss my mom terribly, but seeing how much she's respected and loved in this community, it really helps to lighten the heaviness of my heart. So thank you so much for letting me share some of my thoughts, but most importantly, thank you so much for honoring her. It means the world.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean, thank you so much for joining us today. Diana was a true influencer and partner to government and a force within industry as a leader, a mentor, and a friend. And I would like to extend my warmest congratulations and sincere gratitude to you, Soraya, and to you, Brian, for your support of ITPA NCC. And now, I'm pleased to introduce Warren Suss, President of Suss Consulting, past president and longtime supporter of ITPA NCC, to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Over to you, Warren.
Thank you, Thelma. And I could spend all of my time and all of our time here talking about Diana and the legacy she left. So, Dawn, your words were heartfelt, and she was just extremely highly regarded in this community. And Soraya and Brian, congratulations. But today, it's my honor to introduce today's keynote speaker. Mr. Dovarius L. Peoples was selected for the Senior Executive Service in January of 2016. He assumed the position of Chief Information Officer, CIO G6 in April of 2019 with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. In this role, he serves as the principal advisor to the Commanding General on information technology issues. He is responsible for all aspects of information resource management and information technology for the Corps of Engineers. Prior to his current assignment, Mr. Peoples served as the deputy to the Commanding General, U.S. Army NetCom. In this capacity, Mr. Peoples provided senior technical leadership to ensure Army theater-level networks were integrated into the Army's portion of the Department of Defense Information Network, the DODN, and enterprise constructs. The command employed over 14,000 military, civilian, and contractor personnel located in every theater in 20 countries around the world, with an annual budget in excess of $1.4 billion. Mr. Peep.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching. First off, thanks for the opportunity. I definitely appreciate having the opportunity to be around and amongst in the presence of many great professionals. So I definitely count it a privilege just to be able to share for a short while with you some of the things that the Army Corps of Engineers are doing to support our great nation. So with that being said, just to slightly orient you, as you know, we all are going through COVID-19, trying to stay safe and healthy. And one of the major things within the Army Corps of Engineers, we do have the responsibility to continue to engineer solutions to some of the nation's toughest challenges. So with that being said, we have seen a lot of success. I mean, we've also had some challenges, especially as we provide IT support to allow our end users or our customers the ability to be able to engineer those solutions needed. So some of the things we've done, we had to really truly assess the current operating landscape post-COVID, pre-COVID, and then as we go through COVID. As you know, the Army Corps of Engineers is set up CONUS as well as OCONUS, in country and out of country. We are made up of 55 districts, 9 divisions. They are within the United States supporting your various local areas. We're about 37,000 users strong inside of the Corps of Engineers, and we provide a lot of engineering construction services, supporting military programs on the Army side, supporting the disaster relief efforts, which we coordinate and collaborate heavily with the civilian sector. And then we have a huge disaster relief civil works mission as well. So those are the 3 various components within the Army Corps of Engineers in which it is that we provide critical services to, as well as they're a part of our mission. Some of the things that we've done as we move through the COVID landscape, or as we navigate through the COVID landscape, we like to consider this the new now, because we don't know what the new norm will eventually look like. So right now, all we can do is continue to adapt and continue to adjust as we go forward. So some of the key things we've done technically, we have enhanced, or we did enhance our VPN capacity. When we first started throughout COVID-19, we only could handle about maybe 500 users per day on our VPN capacity. And we started off with a fiber cut. We received our fiber services down south as our 2 major data centers, one in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and the other one is in Portland, Oregon. And our Vicksburg, Mississippi data center had a fiber cut. So as you know, everybody is working home. You have 37,000 users working from home, and only maybe sporadically about 600 or 700 users could connect to the enterprise. So we started off pretty rough. Not to mention where we only had a small limited capacity that could actually get onto the VPN. So within about 7 days or so, we aggressively expanded our VPN capacity to handle 80,000, 40 and 40 distributed. So with that being said, over the past maybe about 6 to 8 months, we've continued to maintain a current operating posture where about maybe 30,000 users connect on average every day to our VPN services, being able to leverage a lot of their mission critical applications, such as email, Microsoft 365, and those things alike. So we have definitely seen a lot of success, had a lot of challenges, but overall, as a mission enabler from an IT standpoint, we have definitely done a significant job in being able to allow our end users to effectively do their job. Some of the key initiatives that we have been embarking upon within the Corps of Engineers, especially for this fiscal year, FY21, definitely enhancing our data posture, being able to properly secure that data, as well as being able to properly access the data. So looking at concepts such as zero trust, looking at connectivity aspects through our various telco providers, from our various meet-me points and data centers. So there's a lot going on in the space of the CIO from the Army Corps of Engineers. Many may be tracking. The Corps of Engineers is structured just as the big Army is structured. As you know, the Army has separated the CIO as well as the G6 component in order to gain more efficiencies. Within the Army Corps of Engineers, we are currently structured in that capacity as well. The CIO shop handles a lot of the policy oversight and guidance. The G6 side of the house handles a lot of the execution and implementation. That has allowed us to be able to access a lot more efficiencies as an enabler, be able to deliver services not just on time, but also accurately as well, and then be able to provide the checks and balances, the verification, validation, and the strategic aspects on top of those. We provide critical services, whether that's network, telecom. We provide cyber services as well, data services. And with our various team members, we provide all types of enterprise services, and that's just a few that we were able to name. From our civilians, they work very hard. Some of the things we're beginning to do now is put more emphasis on training our federal civilian and our federal workforce to really be a more 2028 type of workforce and be able to handle a lot of the things that come about. For this audience here, I really want to specifically kind of dive into some of the things we're doing centered around disaster relief or some of our USAID disaster relief capabilities. So why is that important? Because we work closely with some of our mission partners such as FirstNet, AT&T, Verizon, and the likes to ensure that we can effectively have comms as we deploy to the various sites when a disaster happens. A good example of a disaster, COVID-19, we were building Austin care facilities, ensuring that our technicians had the ability to properly connect to their devices, to be able to properly access a lot of their mission applications. We were able to successfully do that by leveraging some of our critical capabilities, FirstNet and telco, FirstNet through telco and those type of things to really ensure that they could connect. And the disaster relief mission is probably one of the most important missions within the Corps, because every day somewhere in the United States, there is a disaster, whether that's snow that eventually turns into water that could potentially flood, saturate the environment, the ground. There's hurricane season, tornadoes, those type of things, even the wildfires out in California, which we support as well too, to include some of the things we're doing with, as I said before, COVID-19. And with that, we all need some type of telco in order to communicate. That's the bottom line, being able to effectively communicate to do our job. So with that being said, ensuring that we've either ran the right fibers or we have the proper mobile units in order to be able to connect. It is a huge mission. Granted, there are limitations, but within the Corps, we try to overcome a lot of those limitations, working closely with our mission partners out in industry. There is no loss of work within the Corps. We have a lot of room for improvement, and collaborating and working with industry, we are definitely looking forward to being able to move the ball forward and take things to the next level as we look for the out years of 22 through 26 out years. So one of the efforts and initiatives we really embarked upon here over the course of the past 6 months is our IT modernization. And as a part of the modernization roadmap, it is more centered towards the digital transformation aspects of things, baked with the foundation of governance, looking at it from a cloud smart perspective, the analytics, the AI aspects, this nice thing that we call the enterprise virtual viewer for a lot of our data components, which we've broken data into 3 areas: the platform, the data management, data quality aspects, and the visualization. Because ultimately we want leaders to be able to make more informed decisions, having access to real-time data that is quality, manageable, and on an excellent platform, whether that's in the cloud or in a hybrid concept of cloud and on-prem. So we are moving forward. As you know, within the Army Corps of Engineers, we are the Army's component for our Army Geospatial Command. We are the engineering research component for the Army and the department as well too. So the Corps of Engineers has a huge responsibility, and within that responsibility, we're relied upon to be able to ensure that we can properly provide the nation as well as our mission partners with the things in which it is that they need. So lastly, one of the things I definitely like to really convey to you all is that as we've worked from the pre-COVID to the post-COVID, which I'm going to call it, and then trying to find that hybrid, that sweet spot in the middle, current, present. There are a lot of things we've done in collaboration with Big Army as well as with OMB. We have worked with the DoD to leverage the Microsoft CVR capability, which has the teams, which allows for effective collaboration. That has proven to prove well for us, because it has allowed us to talk across the platform to all of our various components and services, and video capabilities, as well as mission collaboration with documents and those type of things. So within the Corps, some of the things we're beginning to do is actually build upon those mission collaboration services to ensure that we can effectively meet the mission, working to enhance our civil aspect of the mission, as well as our Army DoD aspects of the mission. So with some of those things being said, telco is important, connectivity is important, our end users are important, as well as funding is also very important. So we have moved a lot of our efforts and initiatives that were in the right column to the left to be able to meet some of the challenges that have been going on. And we're also reassessing our budgets as well to ensure that we can effectively meet those challenges, because you can't move forward unless you have the funds. So we've been going through intense budget drills, internal and external to the Army, as well as internal to USAID, in efforts of being able to secure the proper funding to be able to move things forward. So with that being said, that's just a brief introduction to the Corp, some of the things that we've been doing to move the IT mission space forward, and some of the things we're beginning to focus on. I'm definitely looking forward to the next rounds of engagement with the organization and with this dynamic team. So I'll pause there at the moment and turn it back over for any comments, questions, and concerns that may be had of me. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, Mr. Peebles. That was quite a bit of information in a short period of time, but it's amazing to hear what you all have been able to do and how you were able to pivot so quickly as a result of COVID. And when I think about what you initially said with that outage and having, you know, the majority of your workforce unable to connect, just astounding. So we too look forward to the continuation of this story. And I like your phrase, the new now. I've been struggling with the new normal because I don't believe that we are going back to where we were. So I really like that new now, focusing on today. So with that, I would like to introduce our Q&A moderator for today's event, Mr. Tony Bardo, Vice President, Federal at Hughes, and past President of ITPA NCC. Tony, take it away.
Thank you, Thelma. Welcome, Mr. Peoples. And I'd like to say, first of all, just to give a nod to the rest of the program, I'm really moved by the awardees and their careers and their accomplishments, their service to this organization and to our industry. It's really moving, and further moving was Sean Gowan's tribute to his mother, and a woman I knew very well and worked with at MCI and in my many years there. And it was just really a heartfelt gathering here, this meeting. I wish I could say, Thelma, that lunch was delicious, but you know, we're doing this virtually now because of the new now, and I too echo that embracing that phrase. I just have come to hate the new normal. I got to tell you, but Mr. Peoples, I've got some questions. We have a tough crowd here at ITPA, and they've asked some questions that hopefully won't. That I'm sure you're going to be able to handle with aplomb. And let's get started. Dovarius, what was the driving factor? A lot of the these questions are going to be about the new now. And but what was the driving factor to focus on untethering the user and going mobile within the Army Corps?
Yeah, so right now the Corps of Engineers we've operated always as a distributed workforce. We have never truly been tied to the office space. In the old norm, as you know, so many are just used to going into the office and seeing a face in the office. But when you think about the Corps of Engineers, when you think about construction, that's what we are. We are a construction heavy based organization. We support a lot of the local areas at levees, locks, dams for critical network infrastructure. Those type of employees are not really at your conventional office space. So with that being said, we have to ensure that those users have the ability to connect to the enterprise in some form or fashion because they're not at their desk. So that automatically screams mobile, right? That screams iPads, that screams mobile cell phones, whether it's Android or Apple. And when COVID-19 happened, it was just more so, okay, we have to really kick that into high gear. Because now nobody's really going into the office anymore. So with that being said, we had planned for this and maybe in the 23, 24 out years to get that together a little bit more. But when COVID-19 happened, it was like, okay, reality is hit. We may never go back to the office. These individuals need to have access to a lot of their mission critical data. So we had to begin to put the foundational building blocks in place. And as a part of that story, ensuring that the network and the infrastructure was solid first. That's what we've been working on. So in 22, 23, and 24, it'll be ensuring that the applications are modernized in order for those users to really be able to effectively do their jobs.
Well, you illustrate and expand upon for us to hear and learn the tremendously wide role that the Army Corps plays in our lives. And we appreciate that. We appreciate just how much you all do for us in ways that are very visible and ways that are not terribly visible. So we thank you for that. So along the same lines, how has COVID-19 and the pandemic affect your push toward modernization? Did anything have to stop?
No, nothing stopped, because when you think about the things that are going on in the nation for COVID-19, the alternate care facilities, we have 50 states in the United States, and when you think about those, every state is affected by COVID, and at some point in time, there were alternate care facilities being stood up in some arena throughout the country. So when you think about how aggressively those things happen, that alone lets you know that the Corps of Engineers was never took a break. There was never a timeout. So with that being said, the goal was, how do we effectively get comms into the hands of those users? So that was our mission challenge, and that's what we had to effectively do. So we stopped nothing. We continued our day-to-day mission, and even through COVID-19, there were wildfires going on in the western side of the world. There were floods and whether that was Mississippi in the southern, floods and hurricanes, all the way down to Florida. So you name it, and the mission was still continuing. So there was really no time to stop. It was just, we just had to see how resilient our comms were. So we just jumped out there. Luckily, we were pretty resilient. We were in better shape than what we thought we were. I put it that way. And based off of that, we were able to continue to build upon some of those things. And we're far from being where we want to be, but we are moving the ball forward, meaning pulling a lot of those things that were to the right, to the left, and we're moving forward with implementation and continuing the mission.
Well, it's clear that your leadership over the years in the organization has prepared you for that. So appreciate that. In your vision of a mobility future for the Corps, what role does innovation play, and how do you motivate your team to tackle what has, I mean, to some extent you've already answered that, these unprecedented technical challenges?
Yeah, so I kind of use the term incentive, and it's not to say that we'll never go back to the office, but I find that a lot of people do really like being in their own personal spaces, not having to spend 3 hours in DC traffic to get back and forth to the office and then have to do kid pickup and those type of things. So with that being said, some of our incentives is, hey, if we want to continue to operate in this new now construct, then comms must always be up and running. And even from the technical perspective, our technical team are continuing to move the ball forward. We've also looked at it from the people aspect as well, to effectively recruit, and not just recruit, but to retain. Because industry is out there and we're competing for the same resources. So to be attractive, you have to have some of those things. So those are all the things we begin to look at as we think about mobility and how we can leverage mobility in the future and what innovation will do for it. Innovation will allow us to get the right talent. It allow us to keep the right talent, and it also allow us to keep our workforce more energized. So those are all the things that we look at as we talk mobility, because it's here to stay. And in this new now construct, it's showing us that if you don't have effective comms, then you're pretty much putting yourselves out of business, or you're ineffective in delivering mission services.
Well, you're among those CIOs who recognize that for all the innovations and money and effort put toward the IT infrastructure and capability, it doesn't work as well unless the comms are there. Hence, that's why you're here at the ITPA, and don't know why we haven't had you here before, but we're glad you have. What role did data governance play at the outset of executing the modernization vision as the CIO?
Yeah, data is huge, right? Data is the centerpiece for everything we do, right? When you think about it, even when you look at just traveling, right? You look at how many right turns you make on Waze or Google Maps and those type of things for efficiencies. All of that's data. And within the Corps, I can specifically let you know, as far as our leaders, the leaders use data to make a lot of critical decisions, especially around a lot of our mission areas, such as disaster relief. So at the end of the day, if the data isn't quality, if it's not quality data, if it's not effectively managed, nor if it's not coming from an authoritative source, then it does us no good. So we have put a lot of emphasis in that, not just the quality and the management, but also the security of the data itself, ensuring through concepts such as zero trust. We've taken that from a conceptual or theoretical perspective, and then we begin to operationalize how we secure that data. Because again, you're only as good as the weakest aspect, and within a data construct, securing that data through a zero trust methodology is critical and key. Blocking, denying all, and then allowing by exception to meet some of the critical mission areas. We use data heavily. That's the reason why we set out as our data strategy. We look at it in 3 areas. The first area, as I stated, is the foundation, the house. Where does it sit? Do you have proper communications? The comms, can you always connect from many different access points? The second layer, looking at it from a data management, data quality perspective, ensuring that you can always access that data in real time, that there is no latency associated with it, and that you can make informed decisions. And then last but not least, the visualization component, because we as humans are visual people. So being able to see that data to make informed decisions and get it whenever you need it is critical and key, but it has to be in a consumable form that any leader at any level can really understand what they're looking at. So all of those things go into our data strategy, to include some of the beautiful terms such as cloud and several others, but data is at the heart and forefront of everything we do, and we are in lockstep with the bigger Army as well as OMB as we go about modernizing our data strategies.
Thelma, I would want to ask, I've got a couple more questions to ask Dovarius, but I want to make sure we're okay with time.
Tony, we can probably take 2 more.
Okay. So, sir, what was out of all the lessons you mentioned, you've learned, what was the most important lesson during this initial phase of the Army Corps' modern vision?
I would say people first, right? And it's not just to say people first as far as health, but people first as far as health, the mental, the physical, people first in regards to the training, empowering the workforce, because ultimately now in this construct that we're working in, there's less of the physical touch and there's more of the virtual interaction. So sometimes it's hard to really be able to gauge the health status of an individual by looking at them on VTC or through video. Sometimes it's also hard to train users as well through these conventional methods. So ensuring, because at the end of the day, those that do the work are the professionals. They're the ones that really make this thing run. And if they're not skilled, if they're not trained at their specific area of expertise, then we're only as good as how far they'll take us. So we've been investing heavy in ensuring that our users or our employees have the ability to be trained. They have full resources, whether it's online, allowing them to take that time. And we're working with Army to pilot this Quantum Leap effort and initiative, which is centered around the training aspect versus the certification. Because again, a certification shows that an individual can learn. They have the ability to learn, but a lot of times what you learn in a textbook isn't translated to the hands-on technical aspects of the on-the-job training. So we really put a lot of focus in that. I would tell everybody to really invest in your people, because ultimately, if you don't invest in them, someone else will. And the talent is not a lot of talent out there when it comes to the IT arena, because everybody's trying to get the same talent. So those are some of the things that we've definitely learned in funding, properly planned from a funding aspect, because if you don't invest in IT, then you're not going to be successful. You can't piecemeal this. You have to really make sure you really focus and identify the right resources.
Well, from our tough panel of contributors for the questions, that was a great question. And sir, that was a great answer. Thank you. Last question here. And at what point did you know that the changes related to COVID were unavoidable, were longer lasting than perhaps thought? What were the most important planning considerations at that time?
One of the things I said, when we've done a lot of preparation for disaster recovery and those type of things, and we kind of got the sense that this could really we could be in this for the long haul. When, from an Army standpoint, we do a lot of things called rock drills. We simulate, we practice how we're going to perform. We do a lot of right, just right, which is a lot of Army terms. But when we started to do those exercises, that's when I got in my mind that, hey, we're in this for the long haul. Because a lot of times when you start doing those type of preparations, it's not just to do it for fun, it's something that's coming. So with that being said, we begin to plan early, say, hey, what is that we need from an infrastructure standpoint? Funding, what funding do we need? And how can we be best postured? So we began to have our employees to stagger working from home, testing out the VPNs and testing out a lot of our mission critical applications. We started doing that maybe about a month before we got the word to say, hey, everybody must go in and start working remotely. So those pre-planning things allowed us to really be prepared for the long haul in this. And from an IT standpoint, I think us really investing in our wireless capabilities definitely helped us out a lot as well too, wireless and remote, because what we do at home or in our remote capacity, we could do in the office. So all of those things really did help us out.
Dovarius Peoples, thank you very much for answering our questions. Proud to serve with you, and thank you very much.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity.
Tony, thank you so much for that. That was quite an extensive session, but extremely good information. So thank you for moderating.
You're welcome, Tony.
So if I could get everyone to join me in a virtual round of applause for Mr. Dovarius Peoples, a dynamic keynote speaker today, and then also for the service of the Army Corps of Engineers. So as we prepare to close out for our event today, just a couple of items. I would like to give you a sneak peek into the remaining events for our 2021 portion of this season. In February, we're going to feature Colonel Jeff Rector from DISA. He will be speaking on modernization for the DoD Fourth Estate. And in March, we have a special event featuring GSA with a focus on small business. And then I'm very excited to welcome Mr. Peebles back for part 2 and part 3 of his series in April and May. So we have a full slate for the remainder of our season. As we near the 1-year mark since the outbreak of COVID-19 and the resulting economic downturn, ITPA NCC is looking to help out now more than ever, as some families have been directly affected with food insecurity. We hope to have a greater impact for the Capital Area Food Bank and will be sharing much more information during our February virtual event. Once again, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. We greatly appreciate you. Our platinum sponsors, Comcast Government Services, Granite Communications, Hughes, and Lumen. Our gold sponsors, Avaya, Converge One, Metel, Sus Consulting, and Verizon. And our silver sponsors, BJJ and Associates, Collab 9, Corning, Equinix, GBI, GES, Turning Point, Sprint, T-Mobile, and Graybar. ITPA will continue to hold an array of events as part of our monthly virtual series throughout the remainder of the year. For questions, please reach out to us at info@itpancc.org. Lastly, thank you again to everyone who supported our Project ELF efforts last holiday season. Thank you to our speakers, our sponsors, and all of our special attendees today, including our awardees and our presenter, Vice President Pat Amos. Thank you again. Everyone have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you next month.